I'd like to ask Renaud to kind of kick us off by just explaining a little bit about what LumApps is so that we can establish a little context. And from there, we want to talk a little bit about digital transformation, how to make the decision to do it, how to get started in it, and then how to build on it. But let's start with a little explanation of who we are.
Thank you, Frank. So, to be brief, what is LumApps? It's all about making sure that communication in enterprise is effective. That's the key subject. It's all about making sure that the right information is available to the right time and to the right users. Okay, the latest content management system up-to-dated. We've also added some social network features to make sure that users will connect together, gather in communities of interest, and to find the right information again. To do what? To work, of course. So we have a very deep G Suite integration, good enough for LumApps to be one of the very few recommended ISVs from Google. And we lately injected this new concept of employee social advocacy, making sure that everything we've just discussed about the content management system, the information, and the collaboration, internally, but also externally. We'll get back on this at the end of the session. Yeah. And now you know everything, Frank, about LumApps.
I don't want to ruin your thunder. We've got more to talk about that. So let's start with ladies first. Let's start with Lucy. Lucy, can you tell us a little about who Veolia is and how you started on this path?
Yes. So actually, Veolia was founded more than 160 years ago in France, providing clean water to people living in urban areas. So its activities quickly grew to other expertise, to other countries and customers. And today, Veolia is committed to resourcing the world. We are committed to fighting global warming by implementing solutions that help our customers to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and to reduce their impact on the climate. So today we have more than 170,000 employees in over 50 countries worldwide. We provide solutions ranging from waste recycling, drinking water and wastewater management, and energy efficiency for industries and buildings.
All right, awesome. And Tommy, now, if you're an adult, you brush your teeth, so you should know who Colgate is. I don't want to ask for a show of hands. So Tommy, I'm going to ask this question a little differently to you. Tell us something we don't know about Colgate Palmolive.
I mean, we are also a very established company like Veolia. You know, we've been around for a while. We operate in 4 major categories, right? So oral care, pet nutrition, home care, and personal care. So not just toothpaste and toothbrushes. We're also among the world's most, you can look at the brand list that's up on the screen, you know, it's some of the most recognized brands in the world, and that's what Colgate is. And
you guys are growing and acquiring, becoming more markets and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're very global, like I said, and you know, we keep growing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so the first section we want to get into is, you know, we've got 2 very large, very established companies that have been on the market for years. And how do you start making the transition to go from a traditional manufacturing company to being, well, digital? So I'll start with you, Lucy. You know, what's the next thing, you know, for example, how did you go about making the decision to start changing into a digital workplace?
Actually, Veolia started in the digital transformation in 2013 with G Suite. So in less than a year, most of our users were live. Today, we have about 140,000 G Suite users. So I would say that one of the challenges of our digital workplace is how do we leverage this digital transformation to really help our employees to improve their working lives. And we have another challenge on cybersecurity. How do we make sure that our digital workplace is robust enough against cyber attacks? And last but not least, of course, we have a cost reduction challenge by rationalizing IT solutions and infrastructure.
All right, Tommy, same question to you. You were in an entirely different stack before you made this move to G Suite. How'd you go about making those decisions?
So just as you mentioned, I mean, I think, one of the big things was our move to G Suite, and we were looking for, I think that was one of the challenges. We wanted a platform that extended that investment we made in G Suite. But I think the other two areas of opportunity for Colgate were improved collaboration, which was something that we wanted to do even further than what G Suite offered. And then also we wanted to facilitate communication to our employees around the world, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we're very global, so that's a challenging thing to do.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this leads to the question that's obviously, you made the transition to LumApps. How do you go about layering on top of it? You made the transition to G Suite. What next? Yeah. I mean, why add a LumApps atop it?
So I mean, I think, like I said, G Suite was, what led us to LumApps. But the communication and collaboration capabilities were key. G Suite helped us in that area, but LumApps took us further than that. We did have an existing intranet portal, so we had a lot of content, but we wanted to transform that content. A good example is some of the alerting, whether it be video or other types of communications we wanted to provide, or even people announcements that we wanted to share with the globe. We wanted to make sure that content was very easily maintained and shareable. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do, and LumApps provided that capability. But I think the other thing that we were looking at LumApps is for its collaboration capability. So communities was a big driver for that as well.
Okay, so the ability to kind of get out of just emailing everything and start being actually collaborative.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about that. All right, clearly there's a desire to make the change. It now begs the question, how do you go about doing it? Now, Veolia, Lucy, you made the transition a couple of years ago. So let me ask the question of, how did you get started? How do you go start making the decisions? There's a lot of people that you have to herd, a lot of cats, a lot of interests. How do you make the decision to start?
Yeah, so we had a horizontal and vertical approach. There was the project steering committee at the group level with the IT, communications, and the human resource departments. And the group communications departments, they led workshops with the key countries and BUs and zones such as UK and Ireland, North America, Eastern Europe, and various different business lines in France to really identify the users' pain points on the old intranet and to identify what their expectations were. So that was the horizontal approach. And in addition to that, we onboarded the different functional departments at the HQ, such as finance, legal, and marketing. We wanted to make sure we organized regular reviews and asked them for feedback. We really wanted to make sure that we share the same vision every step of the way, from the design, develop, and the launch phases. We wanted to make sure that we share the same vision. And about 1 month before launch, we organized a 2-day on-site workshop and gathered about 30 different key users from around the world, during which we really showed them what the idea of the new intranet were, and then we showed them how to use the product. And during those workshops, we got really constructive feedback that allowed us to make some final adjustments for the launch.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting you did horizontal and vertical, which allows me to bring Rob in. So for those who don't know Rob Ryan, there's a couple of people who do kind of digital workplace strategy, and there's a couple of people who are really good at it, and that's one of them is Rob. So Rob, I'm just going to throw you a softball here. So like a blog, it's a use case, right?
A blog is not a use case.
Sure?
It's a great feature, but it's not a use case.
All right. Well, so if you say so. So what is a use case?
Sure. The way we define a use case within LumApps is a group of people working within LumApps to produce a business benefit. So there's, certainly many classic use cases that you've seen in intranet deployments, but I'll say this. The best advice I always give to my customers and my clients is that you can't treat your digital workplace as a project. It needs to be a program that lives and breathes within your organization. The place and pray approach just never works, and you can hear from the stories of Veolia and Colgate just that strategic, methodical approach and how they're going to implement and change the way employees work. The next bit is really that a digital workplace has to have a defined vision or mission. Veolia, the employee experience, and it sounds like you were able to define that early on. Help to understand, okay, this is going to be the life cycle of our employee, and here's how it's going to impact the customer experience. The next level down from that is really your goals and objectives, and measurable, ideally, serving up to your ultimate vision for your digital workplace. Building a better Acme core, driving a world-class employee experience. Underneath all that is use cases, so pockets of utility that are going to end up evolving the way employees work, as well as value to the organization.
So if we were to start thinking about use cases in the horizontal plane, that would be what we'd call wide.
Correct. So
Is this where I get my blog?
this is partially where you get your blog. So wide use cases are your classic table stakes within any intranet. It's your corporate communications, leadership communications, quarterly town hall. It's a use case which is going to serve the majority of the organization, and oftentimes it's a consumer-based or transactional use case.
But this is a reason why when Lucy brings in 30 stakeholders into the office in Paris, it's for buy-in so that everybody understands why they're blogging and how they're blogging and stuff like that when they go and do the comms use case, which is classically very wide.
Correct. So blogging, we're going to communicate, we're going to drive strategic alignment across the organization because we have a number of change events that are underway. So oftentimes, that's really the best association of where we can take those use cases and align those to specific business initiatives that we have underway.
Yeah. All right. So the contrast then would be deep.
Yes.
What is a deep use case?
So a deep use case is really where an organization begins to change. It is where work happens. So for example, let's say the sales function. We're going to try to evolve and change the way sales works. We might spin up a sales onboarding use case because if our sales reps are able to get up to speed faster, we can get them out in the field and producing faster for our organization. But we may layer in other use cases as well. Perhaps it's a deal room where we're now cross-collaborating across the organization. Yeah, I still have access to, my CRM, my tools, but I'm also bringing in that content and conversation related to that particular prospect.
It's interesting you mention that because this starts to bring in and allude to the reality that there are other tools in the enterprise, the CRM, the other sales assets and systems like that. These have to be factored in and measured as well.
Absolutely. So you're really creating that digital hub, and those homes of utility, yes, it's great to have your CRM and your other portals as well, but you can really bring that channel, if you will, for you to go participate wherever it may be the focus. So cross-collaboration, deal room, fantastic. But I got to move into my CRM to specific other transactional activities. Okay. Perfect.
So when we start talking about this, you've made those decisions, you've put together these grand programs. You have to decide to go live. How do you go about launching this thing? I mean, do you just turn it on, spray, pray, and hope it works? Or, is this turn it on, build it, and they will come?
No, there's no such thing as build and they will come. There's no such thing as place and pray. In all honesty, my most successful clients through the years have a proper program strategy, governance model, and organizational change initiatives that bring you through from both launch and then going forward.
Okay. So Lucy, how did you guys, when you launched the Veolia project, how did you, and you call it one-to-one?
Yeah, So our intranet called One-to-One went live in 2015 with one global portal and 40 different sites for countries and functional departments. Our initial target audience was 40,000 employees in 9 different countries. We hit that target in just 3 months. So the project team was very thrilled of how fast we hit the target. And progressively, other countries and global projects, they wanted to become a part of the one-to-one ecosystem by creating their own site. So today, all of our Veolia G Suite users have visited at least once, one-to-one, and on average, we have about 25,000 users per month.
It's nice that you're doing this. So you're actually measuring now, which is a nice contrast to the previous state where you'd send emails and hope, but now you were actually tracking measurements month over month, week over week on who's coming in?
Yes.
Okay. Let's contrast. Let's talk about how we manage this. I mean, there's always the question of, all right, you've launched it. Now, how do we take it live? Who manages it? You know, so Tommy, I'll ask you this question. You know, do you prefer a centralized control, or how do you actually make this thing work?
So we split our control a little bit differently between 2 capabilities within our intranet. We went live actually in 2 different phases. We first launched communities and profiles, and I think our go live was a little bit different because we had an existing intranet. So we already had some existing capability in this space, but we felt strongly that we wanted to enhance that collaboration, like I said earlier. So we first went live with communities and profiles, and to manage that, we wanted those capabilities to be more open and free. So we actually let our community, our end users, create communities however they want. We leave that open.
So you're risking sprawl to some extent, but allowing people to create their own sites and microsites, destinations in a sense.
Specifically for communities. We then took a second go live for our main homepage, and that's content that is split, you know, similar to Veolia by functional area. And for those, we're actually doing a little bit more hand-holding with the functional owners to understand what information architecture they need. And Aleks from my team coins that word quite frequently. What kind of information architecture they want to display to the rest of the Colgate world.
So when you talk about a community, and this is a term that's probably new for some of the people who are not necessarily on LumApps and in the audience, how do you describe the functionality of a community in general for your users? Like, what's the utility of it?
It's a free space that Colgate people around the world can create to collaborate in any way they deem necessary, right? So we want them to leverage communities and leverage all the G Suite integration capabilities that it provides in any way they want.
Okay. Right. Lucy, how about yourselves? Did you take that same approach of a decentralized and kind of democratized rollout, or?
Yes, since Veolia is a decentralized group, so the idea here is to have a unique identity in the whole ecosystem, but allowing the flexibility the local teams need to adapt to their own needs. Okay, so the central intranet admin team publishes and manages a onboarding kit in which there are useful information such as graphical guidelines, elements, user guides, and the guidance on how to think about to design the structure of your sites. Anyone at Veolia can request to create a site, and the site owners are fully responsible for the content and the structure of his or her own site. And in terms of governance, we have an organization by country and by department. In each country, the country sites are managed by the local communications teams, and the department intranet sites are managed by the department teams at the HQ. By default, the country intranet sites are pushed as favorites to all the employees of this country, so they get email notifications on the latest updates. And the functional department sites are pushed as well by default to all the functions across the world. So an employee gets automatically 2 information updates, one from his country, the other one from the functional department. And we have other sites for other projects as well that each user can subscribe to if they wish to have notifications.
Now, in the case of the management of all those sites, are those managed by the IT department, or do you allow the business unit itself to sort of manage the content and things that are put onto those sites?
Is the business units. Very often the communications teams or the department that's requesting the site.
Okay. Now, Rob, from your perspective, is this key to adoption? Because there's always the great big stat that says nobody likes their intranet, and or
The most don't,
most don't.
unless
Yeah.
they have LumApps.
We should give you a nickel for that.
You should.
And why is that? Why? What is that big adoption challenge that is served by what Lucy is doing and allowing the business units to author the content and take some ownership?
Yeah, part of it is cultural, but all change comes about from fear, right? Letting go. What's going to happen if we federate out ownership to various parts of our business?
I'll get a blog at that point, apparently.
You'll get your blog there. But that's where we see, one, the efficiency gains, but also business units want to own their corner of their intranet. What I love about these stories here is the crawl, walk, run approach. We're starting with a certain level of use cases. We're going to expand from here, and we've already planned a roadmap that we're going to deliver and layer additional use cases onto.
And I think this is what makes things really exciting. So this I saw a couple of days ago. Tommy, tell us a little bit about this. I mean, I noticed, well, what I recognize from this is that it matches the toothpaste I used this morning. And tell us about what you went live with and how you got here.
Yeah, so when as I mentioned before, we had 2 go lives, and we really approached the second go live around our main homepage, but then also key functional department sites. The way that we approach this is by iterating with the functional owners to understand what kind of content they want to display versus what was there before.
So let me ask the question then. Was the go live how you categorize success, or was it creating, how do you define success in this situation? Is it simply turning it on, or was it creating something great for users?
So we really looked at success through utilization, and that's why some of the analytics capabilities that we're looking at in LumApps is going to be critical. But a good example of that, one good example of that is the communities. We actually had grassroots movements around a single launch community, for example, that was spread across multiple countries in a single region, where they use it to collaborate commercial activities within that region. That's a great example of utilization, and that's how we measure success with stories like that.
So a classic deep use case. Was it one that you even knew was going to come when you launched it?
We didn't, and that's the exciting part about it.
Almost accidental success.
Yeah, I mean, without a lot of marketing on that space when we first launched, it came up, a grassroots movement. Right?
So bottom up. And this is probably where things start to really work, is when you start to see customers actually work bottom up as well as top down. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and you absolutely need a mix of both, where you're going to have those organic use cases come from the masses, because who knows your business better than the employees themselves within their particular function. But of course, meeting that with top-down communications, tools, resources, applications, et cetera.
Lucy, how about yourself? Tell me a little bit about the success that you had over at Veolia.
Yes, so there are a number of success stories, one of which I would like to share with you is just as in Google, they have a specific name for the employees. Well, actually, Veolia, our employees' name is resources. Okay, so last year we launched the We Are Resources campaign internally and publicly to share the resources mindset. And in terms of internal communication, we share the resources values and the resources stories through different intranet sites in different languages on the local sites. So what you're seeing here from left to right, you have the resources, We Are Resources page from the France water business, the global one-to-one intranet portal. You have the Czech Republic version, and you have the Chinese version on Veolia China intranet. So we did that through by sharing templates in LumApps. So we were able to deliver the message the same way across the group in our 50 countries.
Which serves to really kind of reinforce a corporate identity to your employees and
Yeah.
create an employee's brand in a way.
Yes.
So tell me about this one. Now, I know you explained, frankly, I forgot what the acronym means.
Yeah, so SATAWAD stands for Secured Anytime, Anywhere, Any Device. This is Veolia's response to our challenges in the digital workplace. So SATAWAD completely redefines the way employees work by giving them a secured access to all the working environment with a connection to the internet and through a web browser. So applications are going web, the user's data and files are going to the cloud in Google Drive or Team Drive, and the authentication system is based on Google account. So our intranet, of course, is fully in line with this group-wide strategic project. Intranet is SATAWAD because you can. It has an SSO authentication with a Google account, and you can embed seamlessly folders from Google Drive, Team Drive. You can embed any kind of document in G Suite in preview mode or dashboards from Google Data Studio. And in addition to that, our intranet contributed to the global rollout of this project by providing communication kits to the global project team and the local rollout teams with practical information and documents on a G Suite adoption training material.
Okay, very comprehensive. What I like about that use case is it is a goal for a lot of us, which is how to get to the future. So this section is not nearly as heavy on sort of slides, but I think a key component is the ability to kind of build on the success. So I know, let me ask the question to you. First to you, Lucy. Where do you want to go with this? You've had a great success. You've gone live. What are your next ambitions, and how important do you think that your intranet is static, or do you have to continue to add new enhancements to it and make it continuously improve?
There are different aspects for the future. First, we want to provide the intranet as a service to really streamline the whole process of the initial requests, onboarding, creating the site, up until the support and the follow-up. And then we will need a global view of the platform. We have today 700 sites and 140,000 users. So we really want to understand what the different user profiles are looking for and trying to help them to be more efficient in their daily lives. And we also have great expectations for the search. We want to empower our employees to find whatever they need faster with contents more relevant to them to really push the digital workplace to its maximum capabilities.
Okay. And Tommy, you've launched relatively recently.
Yeah.
What are your big expectations that you want to go layer on top of this? Like, what's the future hold for Colgate Palmolive in terms of their digital rollout?
So, I think those are the screenshots you showed earlier were 2 functional sites that we we converted. We still have some more to do. So I think the future for us is we need to sort of finish some of the conversions from some of the old content based on our work with our functional areas. But I think the other thing that we really envision is the ability to roll this out and be able to collaborate and see content on any device around the Colgate world. So I think that's really the key.
So how long is you still have you came from IBM and Domino's, so this is not a small task to go to get it converted over and be able to go grab all of that stuff.
And I think it's not, we don't approach it as a lift and shift, right? I think we need to make sure that we transform the content, otherwise the content will just grow stale. So we're really taking this opportunity to figure out what do we need to do to transform the content based on a new platform, right?
Fair enough. That's that evergreen is kind of the important component, that it becomes relevant to you.
Yeah.
Fair. Let me switch over to Renaud. Renaud, we're certainly a player in this market. We clearly have a vision. Rob tells me it's not a blog. So,
The blog, again.
so what's our viewpoint on where we see this market going?
No. You took a high risk in bringing me in this discussion at the end of the session.
Yeah, I know.
Talking
Lots
about
of
vision
stuff
and
to
product,
speak
I can
go
talk
too
for
far
hours
off
for
the
that.
rails, so.
I'll be brief. Not on the blog. I'll be brief regarding this. And thank you very much, Lucy and Tommy, to share such experience, because that's the best way to build a vision and to build a roadmap, to make sure that we bring best product to the market. I've heard about search, I've heard about experience, and it's all about, in fact, enterprise communication, fine, but it's employee experience, in fact. So we'll get back on things that are really important, the pillar for the next years, which are simplicity, really. If you want employee experience and adoption, which is the second pillar, simplicity is key. So we have a huge plan regarding this, and it's non-ending project regarding this, always. And the openness of the platform is critical also. Having an intranet is wonderful. Maybe we can extend the surface of this intranet to make sure that your communication spread around the world and across the company. So simplicity, first. We bring the best search engine in the world, which is Google Cloud Search. That's all about users finding information. And it does the job, clearly. But the vision is more about the information finding the user. I would like this more and more, because it's all about adoption. What's your intranet is doing for me? That's the subject about every user. So think about the case that, hey Lucy, you search for a document regarding waste and water management, and the system, LumApps, comes to you and say that I found 3 experts talking about the same subject that seems being relevant for the things you are looking for.
So it's not just a case of finding a piece of content, it's finding a person.
Exactly. Extend the search much more than the way we used to do. Okay? The information will find the right user. So it's all about global search. Great. Smart suggestions. Not only document, but people, expert, information, division, communities. Hey, Frank, you should join the blog communities because that's something that is in your interest. Things like this. And also, natural. Every users are not in front of their laptop. They are mobile. And we would like them to, hey, LumApps, please bring me the expert on blog for Frank. Things like this, exactly. Talk to LumApps. It's the best way. So life should be always easier for the user because users is critical regarding digital workplace. Simplicity is done regarding this. Then adoption. Adoption in 2 slides there. Employee experience. Always, always simpler. Always. It's a non-ending story. Things has to be simple. We would like users to be concentrated on the what instead of the how. I don't care about the how. It should be only the information users want to reach.
Like my blog.
For example, your blog. Information they want to access, to create, to create, but not how to make this information available. It has to be no subject. That's really something that is a pillar in our product. Always, always simple for adoption. Don't think about how to, think about what to create, what to share. And the how to create, what to create, it's also about connecting with peers. Connecting with peers is important. That's also a critical subject because working alone, okay, fine, but it's clearly not the purpose of any kind of subject here, and certainly not the purpose of a digital workplace. It's all about connecting users, gathering them, and user directory and user profile is part clearly is part of an intranet.
So you're really describing an experience of beyond CMS, but really about connecting with the hive mind.
Connecting people, exactly. Connecting people because they share the same experience, or maybe they want the same experience. That's a critical subject. Adoption is also about, again, the what instead of the how. It's also about having a tool that helps the employee, helps the users. So layout to help you, templates to make sure that you will bring an effective communication or an effective content.
It's like the example of Veolia, where all of the resource pages looked kind of the same, but we're still individualized to the individual country, I believe I saw. Right, okay.
Exactly, and maybe the enterprise to provide some templates for their division, their country, the things they are doing on your side, but at least the product, be proactive with that. And about wizards also, do not think, you shouldn't think about the product, never. Again, think about the content, never about the product. The product should be adaptive on what you want to do. So that's for adoption. And the last piece regarding this, it's open. Things have to be open. I'm teasing a little bit in advance what we will launch tomorrow, which is the employee social advocacy. So what it is, it's all about having your employees spreading your corporate messaging externally to the rest of the world, but under your control. We are enterprises here, so it's all about you to manage security and control, you allowing these messages to be available and spread around the world. And again, the things we will launch tomorrow has to be simple, again and again and again. One click to share under your control, but one click to share on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want. You will select your channel, but sharing externally, your user, one click, secure, authentic. It's Rob spreading the information about a blog externally and not LumApps talking about. Rob's network knows him, trusts you, I hope, clearly.
So, in this case, maybe not, but...
not on the blog. But so they will feel secure about the communication coming from you instead of coming from LumApps. That's the beauty of social advocacy. And think about a digital workplace. All the content is already available. It's there and available. One click to share, and that's rewarding because you will be the expert to your network. You will be the expert in front of your company because you spread the subject. And that's a natural extension of the digital workplace. I've been brief. I can talk hours regarding this. But now you have an idea of where we are going. Simple, user-oriented, and clearly the subject is all about adoption, because you can have the best product of the world. If your users are not adopting it, you will feel a little bit alone with your product, and that will be a failure. Your project is a success if your users adopted it and feel comfortable in connecting every day because it's useful, they find information, they connect to peers, and everything is there.